Hi, this is Lucia with The Art of Love. Today I want to talk about why it's so easy for me to do no contact. If someone breaks up with me, I just immediately say, okay, no questions, no discussion, nothing. And I just walk away and they never hear from me again. And if they don't reach out, oh well, goodbye. And I know most people do not have that ability, don't have that confidence. And so I want to talk a bit about my dating history to help you understand why it's so easy for me, and hopefully it'll help you to be able to do it. Now, I've dated a lot. And most of the time I was the one to break up with the person. And the reason that I usually broke up with the guy, more often than not, was because I felt that they really weren't that interested. They were taking me for granted. They really didn't care. And I'm not one to sit there and nag and complain and beg and go, oh, you don't like me. Oh, you didn't call me. I see the writing on the wall and I'm like, all right, peace out. And I just leave. And a lot of time I would ghost before ghosting was even a thing. I didn't know I was ghosting. I thought I was just leaving. And I saw that in 99% of the cases, when I just ghosted someone, when I just disappeared, they would contact me. However, usually by the time I left, I was done. So I didn't care. So I either never got back to them, or if I did, I just had moved on by then or had lost interest, and I rarely got back with someone. People have broken up with me a few times, and I begged one time, and I told that story when I was 29, that a guy broke up with me, and I begged him and said, no, please don't. But then about an hour or so later, I actually came to my senses, and I thought, what am I doing? What am I begging? It's like, if he doesn't want me, fine. And so then when he called a few days later, just to check up on me to see how I was doing, I was a totally different person. He probably thought someone had taken over my body, because I said, hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm just calling to check up on you. Oh, I'm doing great. Yes, thanks for calling. Yeah, I was a little bit surprised the other day when you called, but I'm good now. How are you? And that was it. And what do you know? 2 weeks later, he called, and I, of course, had not called him in the meantime, and he wanted to get together. And so again, I saw that even with the guys that broke up with me, I just left them alone, and eventually they would all call back. So that's why I have such faith in no contact, because I see how people behave if you just leave them alone and really do no contact. For me, this is somehow instinctual. Call it confidence, call it ego, call it narcissism. I don't care what you want to call it, but I put myself first, and my thought is, if you don't want me, then why would I want to be with you? I mean, it makes sense, right? If someone doesn't want you, why would you want to be with them? But when someone breaks up with you, you're not thinking straight. Your emotion takes over your intellect, and so you just want that person back. It's almost like a baby, and let's say they're holding something and you take it away from them, they're probably going to cry. So I think it's instinctual that as soon as something is taken away from us, especially if it's a surprise, because it usually is, then our first reaction is to immediately want them back. And it's fine if you want them back, but just don't act on it. Don't show them. Don't contact them. Leave them alone. And I promise you, if you would just leave them alone with no contact, first of all, they're not going to believe that you could behave that way. And they'll wonder what has gotten into you that you could just cut off all contact, even though they did break up with you. So suddenly they're going to start to look at you in a new light. And if you've been needing, then it's going to be a good light. So just have faith in the process. Be strong. And if you need help in maintaining no contact, you can contact me at my website, theartoflove.net, to find out about rates for private coaching. If you're listening to this on iTunes, I would appreciate if you would rate and review the podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, thank you for subscribing. And finally, remember that love inspires, empowers, uplifts, and enlightens.